Good morning, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome to the mobility workshop. My name is Mehdi Dastani, and together with Irene van der Pol, we organized this session, and we have invited two speakers, Bob Huisman from NS, Public Transport, and Raymond Gense from PON. This is a company in automotive industry. Before they give their presentations, Irene will make some organizational announcement, and thereafter I will shortly introduce the session. Irene, please.
Yes. My name is Irene van der Pol. I work as an investment manager at the ROM Utrecht Region, and happy to co-host this session. As Mehdi mentioned, we will use English as the main language, because we have a lot of internationals today as well. And we will record this session for internal purposes. And also want to mention that if you have questions during the presentations, you can ask them in the chat window on the right side of the screen. And Mehdi and myself, we will take a look at the questions, and we will address them to the speakers at the end of their presentations. So please be mindful that we'll use the chat for questions and for technical issues, for example, but the networking and other introductions can be done at the platform when we return to the plenary session. That will be it. Thank you.
Thanks. So as Irene noticed, you can only ask your question by putting those in the chat. But I would like very much to know a little bit about your background and to get more information about the audience. It's also useful for the audience itself. And for this reason, I have made some polls that I would like to open them and ask you to participate in this poll and select the option that fits you most. So the first poll is about your background, and open it. So my question is, are you from academic? Are you from company, startup, government, NGOs, or others? If you make choices. So we see, so I will close because of the time. I cannot wait and keep the poll open, so I close it. It was a kind of similar portion between academics and industry companies, and also some people from government and NGOs. And the second poll I would like to ask you to participate in is about in which segment of mobility you are from: public transport, automotive industry, logistics. No one from mobility? Automotive, yes. So we see people across all these domains. Lots of people select other. I'm sorry to forget to mention those options. Thank you very much. And finally, I would like to open the last poll about your role in the organization. Are you a researcher, developer? Are you working in a sale or commerce? Are you a policymaker? So some policymaker, going up research and development. No one from production and line manager. Okay, lots of research and development, 5. Thank you. So I would like now to go and follow my presentation. If I can upload again. So I have to use. Mobility, transport, and logistics is obviously one of the largest societal sector, which is very diverse and very broad, from automotive industry to public transport, freight transport, but also a combination of different modalities like mobility as service. They try to combine all these modalities and transport as a service. And within each segment, you have also specific teams that's forming the basis of activity in this sector, like, for example, traffic management, traffic control, and many other teams. This sector has also many challenges, as in the last decades, the passenger mobility, emission, also the demand for reachability has increased continuously. And this put a lot of challenges in this sector, like, for example, traffic flow, throughput, traffic safety, but also the air quality. These become the challenges. But we see also that this sector is at the edge of a major transformation. You can see this in the disruptive dimension of mobility sector, like automotive, autonomous cars, connectivity, but also things like shared mobility. We think that it's now right moment for entrepreneurs to start innovating this sector further using AI technology. As you know, the AI Coalition, Dutch AI Coalition, is an initiative already 1 year working to innovate various sectors in the Dutch landscape, and mobility is one of those sectors that they have focused on. And for each sector, they have also seen some generic bottlenecks, problems that they think it's urgent to take it up. Things like, for example, human capital. How can we generate or increase the expertise in the domain of AI in the sector of mobility? How can we support and develop research in this sector? But also, how can we share the data in the sector of mobility? And how can we support scale-up and startups? And all these should also be done in a kind of human-centered way, such as things like inclusion and societal matters taken also seriously when they try to innovate the sector. But the approach that they take is they would like to innovate these sectors by setting up a kind of network of hubs and spokes, and they have identified or created 7 hubs, and AI Hub Midden Nederland is one of those 7, and they have asked each hub to have a specific focus, and one of the focus of our hub in Utrecht region is mobility. So mobility is one of the major themes that our hub will concentrate on. But mobility is not only the focus of our hub. There are also other hubs, like, for example, in Brainport, but also in Amsterdam, and the hub in Oost and South Netherlands. They also interested to contribute to this sector. So together they form a kind of inter-hub management events, and they try to coordinate and collaborate on, to bring this sector, to innovate this sector further. So I'm myself from University of Utrecht, and I can assure you, as University Utrecht and together with Hogeschool Utrecht, we are the knowledge institute in the region, and we have a lot of research and activities that are relevant for mobility sector. We have research on a number of items like autonomous system, machine learning, to socio-cognitive modeling and safe AI. We have also bachelor and master program, which creates a huge pool of students that also would like to do projects with the companies in the region and also on mobility domain. Recently, we have also these innovation labs. One of those innovation labs that we have created in Utrecht is Mobility Lab, which is also an ICAI lab. They aim at starting collaboration between Knowledge Institute, our university, and companies in the region. We have already intensive collaboration with many companies in the neighborhoods in the region, which are working on mobility, like ProRail, like NS, QBus, initiatives like smart solar charging, TNO. We have a lot of work together with municipality of Utrecht and ministries. So this is what we do at Utrecht University. Now I would like to give the platform to Bob to give a presentation on NS about the challenges they have and the use of AI. Bob?
Well, hello everybody. Nice that you're here. My name is Bob Huisman, representing NS, the main railway operator in the Netherlands. What you see here is a neural network that learns to plan train shunting movements. Although it might look like some kind of game that is played, it represents a real-life problem. In this case, shunting at one of the yards connected to the Hague Central Station. Around 2016, Google DeepMind published how they had succeeded to let AI systems play and win different games. I want to illustrate that the knowledge to do this is available and can be applied to solve problems for better public transportation as well. However, keep in mind that more traditional AI approaches still outperform deep learning in the field of logistic planning. Nevertheless, there are good reasons to continue research and development, because we are convinced that the combination of different methods are needed to solve hard problems like this one. Well, I'll stop this now, but it really works. Next one. This one. Yeah. My take-home message is that future mobility asks for a broad range of AI capabilities to recognize, predict, to solve problems, to decide, to communicate, to control, etc. At NS, we have been working on AI for a long time and experienced that AI development requires cooperative human imagination, brain power, and, last but not least, endurance. Well, this presentation, first, in this presentation, I will show you a framework on which we can map different fields of AI application problems. Then, two examples of development at NS are briefly mentioned. Finally, some words about our cooperation regarding AI. Okay, let's start with the framework. This framework tries to depict public transportation by rail. Two main application domains can be distinguished: behavior-centered and process control-centered. On top, you see the interaction between our customers and the company by communication and transactions. To improve our services, we are interested in the intentions and actual behavior of travelers. Below, the physical transport system used by the customers. It includes local transportation, either private or public, besides the railways. And our aim is to make the overall door-to-door journey as easy as possible. In both domains, the scope of AI application may range from simple prediction to decision-making and ultimately to dynamic closed-loop control. Well, examples in the behavior-centered domains, possible examples are journey prediction of travelers, trip advice, personalized, next best action. I'll come back to that later on. In the process control domain, examples are disruption prediction, logistic planning, and data-driven operation. Well, first example to go deeper in is next best action. It aims to give online advices to customers concerning how to proceed the journey in order to help them to experience a smooth door-to-door trip by selecting best options currently available and to anticipate actual disruptions. It has to take into account predicting passenger flows and transportation system availability, to find best individual plans for remaining part of each one's current journey. Take into account using known individual preferences and balancing passenger flows over the network. The second example is logistic hub planning. Online integral logistic planning of train shunting at railway hubs is needed because of, first, hub infrastructure is a bottleneck for further growth of rail transportation due to space limitations in urban areas. Logistic recovery capability needs to be increased to maintain robustness on a high-density network. And third, anticipating predicted passenger flows requires dynamic fleet assignment. It's known to be a computationally hard problem to find feasible solutions for which we have long-time R&D cooperation with several universities. So far, the best approach seems to be a combination of heuristics and local search, deep machine learning, as you have seen in the movie at the beginning of the presentation, and more classical optimization. At the moment, together with the universities of Delft and Utrecht, we are working to start an international competition on this problem to facilitate further research. Well, about cooperation. At NS, in-house research and development groups are closely linked to the business. And we have long-term research cooperation with Delft University of Technology, Utrecht University, Eindhoven University of Technology, University of Amsterdam, the Free University of Amsterdam, Erasmus University in Rotterdam, and the very new AI Mobility Lab at Utrecht University. As stated before, endurance is needed because there's no quick and easy way to AI, functional AI, I have to say. Well, to recap, I hope that I've shown convincingly that AI can work for the benefit of public transportation. A broad range of potential AI applications has been mentioned and mapped on the framework. It's our experience that long-term cooperation with researchers with different universities and different perspectives pays. And to close, AI really works. Thank you for your attention.
Thank you, Bob. I propose to continue with Raymond's presentation and wait for questions until the end of Raymond's presentation. Raymond, please.
Thank you very much. Raymond Gense, I'm working at PON, for the most of you probably known as the importer of VW cars in the Netherlands, and I am the Director of Public Affairs there. So I'm concerned with all the non-client relations, and in that terms, I'm always looking forward at future technology propositions which we can use. And I will try to show you what our company is and what our company is transforming in. Because PON started in 1895 as a bike shop in Amersfoort, for the ones who know that. So we started selling PON bikes. And for a long time we did so. But after the Second World War, Mr. PON, because we are a family company, thought he could enlarge his business by importing VW Beetles to the Netherlands. And that's where it all started. And since then, our company has grown from retailing and importing all kinds of cars until, let's say, some 15 years ago, going into a completely other direction. So one of the directions we are going in, you can see this on the picture here, is that next from importing cars, we have become a producer of bikes, like Gazelle in the Netherlands. The Dutch brand is one of the brands we sell, but also if you look into road bike racing, Cervelo is one of the brands that we built. So we are an importer, we are a manufacturer, and we are transforming ourselves into a company that is more a mobility provider than it's a sales company as it was in the past. And you see in the picture that is shown here that, for instance, Swapfiets, which is a pay-per-use city bike, or the introduction of mobility as a service propositions is part of what we are doing at this moment. I will show you a little bit about this in this picture, because there is where it all interlinks to the company of PON as we are today. Because in 2020, there is a lot more happening than we did before. In the left upside corner, you see some kind of sales prediction. And these sales predictions have become increasingly important for us, for all the modes that we are working in, because there's nothing so important to us as knowing who our customer is, what our customer wants, and how he is behaving now and in the future. And if we can predict this in the right manner, we have an advantage from our competitors. So AI introduction at PON started with predictions of people's behavior in terms of sales and use of our products, which is at this moment one of the major efforts we take in AI. The second one is in the right top corner. At this moment, we are looking into all kinds of propositions. One is shown here, is Moves, which is live in Rotterdam and The Hague at this moment, where we, in line with what's already said before, with the route planning and the trip planning of all kinds of people traveling around, we develop software and a software platform in which you can pick your trip on an app. This trip is booked for you in the most appropriate manner, combining all the modes you need. So it can be a trip with a bike, partly with a train, partly with a rental car, in every combination you would like, to make a trip as affordable and as comfortable as possible for you, where you're not stuck with the last mile and the first mile in your travel behavior. So the platform behind this is basically one of the AI propositions that we use at this moment to be able to calculate and put together the best possible trip for our clients. This is more or less on the software side of all we do. There are also developments on the hardware side. On the left bottom corner, you see a self-driving car. And the self-driving car is all about hardware and sensors being combined in a very intelligent, artificial intelligent network that tries to predict what traffic will behave like and steer your car through this traffic. Because driving on a straight road with no traffic, that's the easy part. The car is able to do that already for more than 10 years. Driving around in a city where everybody is behaving like he would like to behave, not always living up to the legal formats that are there, is one of the most difficult things that there is for a car. We always say we largely underestimated the possibilities of a human when we started developing software that would be able to take over the driving work from the humans. And artificial intelligence at this moment is the key driver to enable us to make this work. And then for the last part, that's the vehicle-to-X communication where we use AI, because traffic at this moment is more than people disconnected, walking around, biking around, driving your car around. It's all about the combined network. And this combined network will increase in its efficiency and also increase especially in its safety if we are able to connect all the transport modes that are on a road with each other. And at this moment, we are making great steps of enabling all kinds of traffic, inclusive the bike, to this neural network in which all traffic information comes together and delivers information to each individual mode how to behave in the most safe and economic manner in real day traffic. So if you see this, we as a company started with selling bikes. We ended up with selling hardware still, but in the most sophisticated way to enable the best performance towards our clients, which are mostly traveling around in more and more busy traffic. I hope this gives you some kind of an impression what a company like PON in the Netherlands has in terms of opportunities when we engage in AI, which we of course are largely doing at this moment. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Raymond. I haven't seen any question from public. If there are, I would be willing to read them loud. And otherwise, I would like to ask Raymond and Bob whether they have already some collaboration to make this mobility as service, for example, a reality. Is there any initiative or connection?
Should I say something, Bob, since my microphone is on?
Please.
Yeah, we are really at this moment we are trying to make this connection. There are the opportunities on the, let's say, non-public transport side and the transport side are both developing. A lot of companies that are engaged in so-called mobility as a service world are piloting 7 pilots in the Netherlands, which are instigated by the National Ministry of Transport and Waterways. And these 7 pilots now are almost live, and we are seeking at this moment actively in a joint operation to find a connection to the Dutch railways and the local transport provider in the major cities. So I'm really part of that. We are most probably next Friday we're signing an MOU on how to collaborate. So worlds have developed more or less separate from each other, and exactly this year, Corona pushing it forward makes these 2 worlds collaborate with each other.
Thank you, Bob.
Well, I completely agree with Raymond, so I have nothing to add currently.
So when I go to NS and take a train coming somewhere, and there are a lot of bike, is there, but I have to go there and to see if there is any bike to share. Is there any kind of collaboration with POM on those bikes, or any idea about how to extend that kind of mobility as service, to expand it with those bicycles and cars in the future?
Well, the general aim is to help our customers with a complete door-to-door journey, and wherever possible to coordinate over the different modalities that are used. So yes, you can expect in the years to come that more and more information and advices will be available for all participants.
So there is a question from Jan Koers. So he's asking, how is NS cooperating with ProRail traffic control?
Okay. I'll give you the answers. I'll go back to a sheet, the framework, this one, and this one. Yeah. Here you see traffic control, and probably few of you know that since a few years in the Netherlands, ProRail traffic control is responsible for the execution of the timetable. To lower the risk for delays due to coordination over different companies, this decision has been taken some years ago. So actually, if you look to this framework, traffic control relates to ProRail, operational control to NS, and we provide the trains and the staff operationally. And again, ProRail is doing the all the coordination. They decide whether to run a train or not, or to divert a train, etc., etc. And this is based on scenarios which are discussed later on. So we agree on scenarios, but we don't discuss during the risk of a delay. I hope this will answer the question.
I hope so. So sometime there is another one. At your knowledge, does ProRail use AI?
Yeah. In that sense, you can discuss about what is AI, but any artifact that behaves in a more or less intelligent way is AI, to my perspective. And in that sense, yes, ProRail does use AI.
Mm-hmm. So Marianne van Akker has a question. That's, I think, to Raymond. If you use the trip planning software made by PON, will it also plan trains and buses?
Yeah, it does. Yeah, because we interact with all modalities. The interaction there at this moment, there is the software platform of Transer at this moment, which is also partly a PON company, which makes the interaction between, let's say, the mobility service provider that are non-public transport and the ones that are public transport. And the big challenge we have at this moment is that the information that Bob shows us about train planning is being interlinked with the other traffic modes, so that we can predict any delay in the system. So if you booked your ticket and there is a delay on the street or on the rails, that you get an alternative in time to make different choices and get on time to your endpoint. But this is the challenge now. It's all about protocols. We have a nice protocol in the Netherlands running at this moment, which is called TOMP, where everybody who is in this world has committed to. And so we look forward to making the full integration of all the traffic information. So not only where is your train, where is your shared car, but also is it there, is it booked, and how is it performing, and when is it at the endpoint? But I expect within the next 1.5 years we will be at that point.
Thank you. Bob, before ending this session, is there anything you would like to add?
Well, not in particular. But I hope the message is I try to transfer is that AI in general for hard problems is not a quick thing to do. It needs business transformation, but a lot of research and a combination of different methods. It's not just data. It's much more and more and more that is needed for real life problems. So that I hope to be remembered as a main message from my point of view.
Mm-hmm. Now, because of the time, we have to proceed. I would like to present also my own last slide to share it. So about future. So as I said, this workshop, this mobility activity within AI Hub Midden Nederland will also focus on the generic problems that Dutch AI Coalition had put forward, namely how can we support and develop research on AI in the mobility domain, how we can find a way to share the data that is generated in this sector, supporting startup scale-ups, human capital, and of course human-centered AI. Now, how we are going to actually work, the main first step, I think, is the community building, and we will. This is the first session that we gather to actually say, okay, we exist, and then we plan to organize workshops, seminars, but also matchmaking events, finding out whether we can collaborate on joint projects, and also waiting for funding and identifying funding possibilities, building consortia, and going to work with each other. And one of the aim of us is also to embed and the regional activities in the mobility domain in the national and international networks. That is for now. I would like to thank Raymond and Bob once again, and Irene, thank you very much for your support, and thank you all for being here and following this workshop. I think it's time to go back to the plenary session. Thank you, everyone. Bye.